Alright, so once we got some knowledge about SASS, it's time to use this knowledge in practice and start building our very first project. It's going to be a website about restaurant, which I decided to call Georgia. Actually, it's the name of my country. So in this video, I'm going to describe project itself and also we'll set up our working environment. So project will consist of several sections. First thing that you see on the screen is banner. It consists of several headings. Also we have here logo, button, and banner has full screen background. Banner is followed by About Us section. We have here two parts. On the left side there is an image. As for right side we have here headings, paragraph, and button. Next we have gallery, which consists of 6 images. They are placed in 2 rows, and when we hover on each image overlay is displaying with nice effect. And lastly, down below we have footer with logo, social media icons, and copyright paragraph. Besides that, as you see, we have here on the right side fixed hamburger menu icon. If we click it, then we will get X with a nice effect, and also navbar will be displayed. Actually, navbar will consist of 2 parts. On the left side we have some images. As for right side, we can see here a couple of menu items which on hover have nice looking effects. Alright, that's all about our project. Besides building those sections, we will make it responsive on different screen sizes. If we inspect the page and switch on responsive mode, you will see that project is responsive. Actually, this project is built on a larger screen size. I mean screen size with width of 1920 pixels and with height 1080 pixels. That kind of screen size is mostly used today, but if you're using smaller screen size, then sometimes the project might not be looking quite good. But no worries, at the end we will make it responsive for all screen sizes. Alright, so I have created a new folder on desktop called Project 1 Restaurant Georgia, in which we have a couple of folders and files. Let's go ahead and open it in brackets. So we have here index.html file, package.json, and folders for CSS, for images, and also for SCSS files. In CSS folder I have created main.css file in which SASS code will be compiled. For now, SCSS folder is empty and I'm going to create a couple of files. In previous lectures we used just main.scss file, but in this case, when we start building projects, I'm going to use different file structure. For this project we will use kind of simple file structure. We will have just a couple of SCSS files, but in the next one we're going to use a relatively complex file structure. Alright, let's go ahead and create main.scss file, in which we will import rest of the files. Next, I'm going to create base.scss file. As you know, it's going to be a partial and its name should be started with underscore. In this file, we're going to put all the variables, also mixins, reset styles, and stuff like that. Next file should be components.scss, in which we will create styles for some reusable components like headings, subheadings, buttons, I mean elements which we will use for a couple of times. And the last file should be layout.scss, which will include styles regarding layout and also styles which won't be reusable. Alright, as we said, those 3 files will be imported in main.scss file. So let's open it and write add import and in quotes insert file name base. As you remember, in case of import, we don't have to write here underscore with file name. Next one should be layout and last file should be components. Alright, let's open package.json file. As you see, we have already prepared it. In order to start working, we don't need to go through some installations again. We just need to open terminal. Then navigate to our folder, write cd desktop, then cd project 1 restaurant Georgia, and then run command npm run watch. Alright, let's open index.html file. Here we have basic HTML structure with some links. We have here a link for font awesome icons, for Google Fonts, and for main.scss file. Let's run index.html using live preview mode in browser. And I'm going to check if everything works properly. Let's change background color of body element right inside layout.scss file. Background color, make it red. So if we save, then background will be changed. And if we check main.css file, you will see that code is compiled properly. Alright, that's all about project setup. You need to download those starting files which are attached to this lecture, and you'll be ready to go. See you in the next video. Alright, so in previous lecture we prepared everything to start building our first project. First part which we're going to create will be header, and actually in this video I'm going to build HTML structure of it. Generally we will create markup for each section, so you can follow me and write code with me, or you can just use ready source files for HTML. Alright, so header will consist of two parts. We will have brand, which will include logo and names of restaurant. As for second part, it's going to be banner with some headings and button. So that's all what we're going to create for header. First of all, let's write comments, header, then end of header, then open HTML5 header element and assign to it class header. So as we said, first part should be brand. Let's open div element and assign to it class brand. First member of brand will be logo, and I'm going to create it using font awesome icon, and actually it will be wrapped by link element. So let's open link element with class logo, and then inside it insert I element, assign to it several classes, FAS, FA, utensils. Alright, so next we need names, and I'm going to create them using h1 heading element and paragraph, and also let's wrap them by div element. Then inside it insert h1 with class main name, and as a text write here Georgia. Actually it's the name of my country, but you can call it whatever you want. After heading, let's open paragraph, which should have class name subname, and then insert text restaurant. Alright, that's all about first part of header. Let's go ahead and create second one. As we said, it's going to be banner with some headings and button. So let's open div element and assign to it class header banner. Then insert in it h1 heading element, which should have class name main heading, and as a text write welcome. So after first heading, let's create second one, which is going to be h3 heading element, and it will have class subheading. Let's insert here some text, try great Georgian dishes. And the last element of banner, and actually for header as well, is button. So let's open it. It will have type button, class main btn, and as a content write reservation. Alright, so here we have structure of header, just pure HTML. Now we need to start styling it, and for that let's move on to the next video. Alright, so in previous lecture we created HTML structure for first part of our project, for header, and as we said, it's time to start styling it. For a header we're going to have full screen background image, which will take up 100% of viewport. Styles for header will go to layout.scss file, but before we do that, I'm going to create some common styles which will be part of base.scss file, because as we said, in general it includes stuff like reset styles, variables, mixins, and so on. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of margin and padding for all elements. For that we have to select them using asterisk and then write margin 0 and padding 0 as well. Besides that, let's define background color for body element. Select it and write background color. Actually, color that I want to write here will be used for several times throughout the project. So as a guest, we have to create variable. Let's call it color dark, and assign to it color 262626. And then let's assign it to background color property, write color dark. Alright, so background color of body element is changed, and also we don't have any margin or padding for all the elements. Let's go back to header, open layout.scss file and select header. First of all, let's define its width and height. Header will take up full width available on the page, so let's write width 100%. As for height, as we said, it will take up 100% of viewport, so write height 100 VH. Alright, next I'm going to set image as a full screen background. Let's define URL. First of all, we need to exit from CSS folder and go to images folder. You may think that we need to define path according to SCSS files, but as you know, compiled code which browser can read is placed in main.css file. Therefore, remember that we have to define path of image according to CSS file. So we need to write // then images and select image called bg.jpg. Next we need to define position, center, and also no repeat. Then use background size with cover. And the last thing regarding background is to use linear gradient. As you know, we have to define here multiple colors. In this case, I'm going to use black color, but with different opacities. Black color will be used for multiple times. So let's go to base.scss file and create new variable, call it color black, and assign to it black color. Then go back to layout.scss file. So I'm going to use here RGBA values, and as you know, this function takes 4 parameters. 3 of them indicate red, green, and blue colors, and then we have opacity. That's the way how RGBA works in CSS, but in SASS, it's not mandatory to define first 3 parameters. We can just simply insert here variable color black and then opacity 0.8. Let's copy it and just change opacity right here 0.6. So as you can see, linear gradient works fine, and if we check main.css file, you will find that linear gradient takes regular RGBA values as it's in standard CSS. Alright, So with header we're done. Next thing that I'm going to do is to style logo and also names. I mean all the elements of brand. Like header, brand will go to layout.scss file. It's child element of header. So I'm going to use here nesting. Let's select brand. First thing that I'm going to do regarding brand is to place it horizontally in the center. For that I want to use position with transform. So let's make its position as absolute. Then move it a little bit down using top 15%. Then define left position as 50%. In order to place element perfectly in the center, let's use transform, translate with values minus 50% and again minus 50%. And lastly, to manage layout of brand according to its parent element, in this case header, let's use position relative. So brand is centered, but actually it's not quite visible. And in order to fix that, let's define its color as white for a while. So brand is positioned fine, and now we have to style elements of it. I'm going to start with logo. Actually logo and those names will be used in another section as well. Therefore, let's place them in components file, select logo, increase its font size, make it 70 pixels. Then I want to change color of text, and actually for that let's create new variable in base file, call it color primary, and assign to it color D3AB55. And then assign it to logo, define color with value color primer. Alright, so as you know, by default link element is an inline element, therefore we cannot define width and height for it, so we need to make it as a block level element. For that, assign to it display block, and then define width and height as 110 pixels. Alright, next I'm going to surround logo by rounded border. For that we have to use border and border radius properties. So let's write border with values 3 pixels, solid, and as a color I'm going to use here color primary. As for border radius, in order to make circle, let's define it as 50%. So as you can see, font awesome icon is not placed quite well inside border. We need to center it perfectly, and for that one of the best solutions is to use flexbox. So instead of display block, we need to use display flex. And in order to center icon perfectly, we have to use justify constant center and also align items center. So now logo is looking good, and the next that I want to do is to style those names. But before we do that, I'm going to create Mixin for those flexbox properties because we will use them frequently throughout the project. Let's go to base file and right under variables create our very first Mixin. Let's call it flex layout. Then grab those 3 properties from here, paste, and in order to use this code, we need to include them for elements. So we need to write @include and the name of Mixin flex layout. So as you can see, we have here same results, and actually everything works fine. Alright, that's it about logo. Next we have to move on and style those names. Like logo, they will go to components file, and before we select them, at first I'm going to place logo and names side by side, and for that we have to assign to brand display flex, and also to center them vertically, let's use align items center. Alright, let's go to components file and select first name, which has class main name. Actually, now I'm going to create several variables because we have to use different font families. So open again base file and create some variables. Let's call first one as font dancing script and assign to it font family called dancing script cursive. Next one is going to be font Josephine Sans. Assign to it Josephine Sans, sans serif. And third one, font Nunito, right, Nunito sans serif. Alright, let's go back to components file. For main name, I'm going to use font family called font Nunito. Then increase font size, make it 50 pixels. Also, I want to change color, and for that, again, create new variable in base file. Let's call it color secondary. And use here color BBB and assign it to main name, right? Color secondary. Alright, so that's the way how first name is looking. I want to add some more styles to it, and for that I'm going to create another mixin. Let's call it text styles and insert here following properties and values. Write font weight 300, then letter spacing 2 pixels, and write here text transform uppercase. And then in order to use those styles for main name, we need to include text styles. Alright, that's all about main name. Next we need to move on and style subname. So let's select it using class name subname. In case of subname, I'm going to use font family called font Josephine Sans. Then define font size as 18 pixels. Also change color. Use again color secondary. Then place text in the center using text align center. And lastly, include mixin called text styles. Alright, so those names are styled, they're looking good. Actually, I think we need some space between logo and names. For that, let's assign to logo margin right with a value 20 pixels. And finally, let's get rid of white color from brand. Alright, so with brand we are done, it's styled. Next we need to move on and work on second part of header, which is banner, and let's do it in the next lecture. Alright, so in the last lecture we have styled first part of header, I mean brand. Let's go ahead and move on to the second part. It's a banner and it consists of 3 elements. We have 2 different headings and button. We're going to place them in the center of page. So first of all, let's take care of layout of banner. This piece of code will go to layout file. Like brand, banner is a child element of header as well. So I'm going to use here nesting. Also, if we take a look at HTML document, you will see that banner has class name header banner. So in order to select it, we don't have to write whole class name. We can use ampersand, which you already know that indicates parent element. So in order to select banner, we just need to write dash banner. Alright, so banner should be centered perfectly. I mean centering horizontally and vertically as well. For that, I'm going to use same technique which we used for brand, positions and transform. So instead of writing it here again, let's create Mixin. Go to base.scss file and write Mixin. Let's call it centering. So in first case, we used top position with value 15%, but in this case, we need to set it as 50%. So we need 2 different values, and for that, we can pass parameter inside Mixin, and then use proper values in both cases. So let's open parentheses and insert parameter. Let's call it top value. This Mixin will take 4 properties. Let's grab them from layout file and just change value of top property. Instead of 15%, let's assign to it top value. Then go back to layout file and include this code here. Write include centering. Inside parentheses, we need to indicate proper value. In case of brand, we need 15%. Then copy this line, paste it for banner, and change 15% into 50%. So as you can see, banner is placed in the center. Actually, it's a little bit hard to see, but elements are here. Next, I'm going to center elements inside banner and also change color, make it white for a while. So let's use text align center and color white. Alright, so with layout of banner we're done. It's time to style each individual element. Let's start from first heading. Actually, those 3 elements will be reused in different sections, so therefore I'm going to place them in components file. Select first heading, which has class name main heading. Let's define font family. Use here font dancing script. Then increase font size, make it 100 pixels. Next, I'm going to make text a little bit lighter, so write font weight 300. Change color, use here color primary. And lastly, create some space at the bottom, write margin bottom 40 pixels. So that's the way how main heading is looking. Let's go ahead and move on to next heading, which represents subheading. So select it using class name subheading. Actually, for subheading, we need exact same properties which we used for main heading, but with different values. So let's copy all of them, paste for subheading, and just change values. As a font family, I'm going to use here font Josephine Sans. Then decrease font size, make it 60 pixels. As for font weight, I'm going to leave it as it is. Then change color, use here color secondary. And lastly, increase value of margin bottom, write 80 pixels. Alright, that's all about subheading. It's looking good, and the last element which we need to style in this video is bottom. So let's go ahead and select it using class name main btn. First of all, let's define width and height. As a width, I'm going to use 170 pixels. As for height, let's define it as 45 pixels. Then let's work on text inside button, change font family. I'm going to use Josephine Sans. So let's copy it from subheading and paste it for button. Then define font size. Make it 14 pixels. Transform text into uppercase using text transform uppercase. And create some space between letters using letter spacing 1 pixel. Alright, so that's the way how our button is looking for now. We need to add some more styles to make it looking better. Let's change color of text. Use here color primary. Then make background color transparent. Change default border into custom one. Right border with values 1 pixel. Solid and with color primary. After that, I'm going to get rid of default outline using outline none. And lastly, change type of cursor, make it pointer. Alright, so our button is looking much better now. The only thing that we have to do is to create a little hover effect. On hover, I'm going to change background color and also color of text. So let's go ahead, use again nesting, write ampersand with hover, then change background color, use here color primary. As for color, write color dark. And finally, in order to make effect looking nice, use transition property with the values all and 0.4 seconds. And also get rid of white color from banner. Alright, so we have finished working on banner and actually on entire header. I think it's looking good. Now it's time to move on to the next section, which is going to be about a section. So see you in the next video. Okay, so once we finished working on header, it's time to create another new section. It's going to be about us section. As you remember from project preview, it consists of two parts. I mean left and right sides. On left side we will have image. As for right side, it will consist of some content like headings, paragraph, button and font awesome icons. Alright, let's go ahead and first of all create HTML structure of this section. After header, let's insert new comments, write about us, then end of about us, then open section element and assign to it class about us. As we said, it will consist of two parts. They will be represented by div elements. So let's open first one with class name about us left and insert here image element. In source attribute, let's indicate path. We have images folder and image named about us img. Alright, that's all about first part of this section. Let's go ahead and create second one. Open another div element and assign to it class about us right. So this part will consist of several elements. First two elements should be main heading and subheading, which we already created in previous section. So we just need to use them here. Let's go ahead and grab them from header, paste here and just change content for both of them. Right here about us. As for subheading, write introduce to Georgian dishes. So here we have image and headings, which are looking in the exact same way as headings of banner. Let's move on and create rest of the elements. Next we need some font or some icons. Actually, they will be wrapped by div element, so let's open it with class name stars. Then insert here I element and assign to it several classes, right? FAS, FA, star of live. And also besides that, for custom styling, use another class, star. We need 3 icons, so let's duplicate it twice. Alright, stars will be followed by paragraph, which will include some dummy text, so let's open p element with class name, description, and then insert some text, right, lorem 50. After that, we need again font or some icons, because this text will be separated from other elements by stars. So let's just copy this entire div element and place it after paragraph. Okay, the last element which we're going to create is button. It will be similar to button which we used in previous section. So let's copy it from here, paste, and just change content, right, read more. Alright, that's it about structure of About Us section. We created all the elements. Some of them are already styled, but we need to take care of their layout, and also we need to style the rest of the elements. For that, let's move on to the next video. Alright, so it's time to start styling our new About Us section. As we said, some of the elements are already looking good because we used them previously, but we need to manage their layout, and also we have to style other newly created elements. So let's go ahead and select section element in layout file. It has class name About Us. First of all, I'm going to define height of section. I want it to be set as 90 VH. After that, in order to place left and right parts of section side by side and also center them vertically, we need to use following flexbox properties and values: display flex and align item center. So that's the way how our elements are placed. Next, we need to take care of each part of section separately. Let's start from left side. It has class name About Us left. Actually, if you don't remember class names of elements, you can frequently check out HTML document. So in order to select left part, let's use nesting, right ampersand, dash left. First of all, I'm going to define width as 40%. Then select image and define its width as 100%. Actually, we're doing that in order to make image responsive. Now it takes up full width of its parent element. Alright, so I want this image to be placed a little bit to the left side, and in order to move it, I'm going to set position of its parent element as relative, and then define left as minus 200 pixels. So as you can see, image is placed to the left side, and the last thing regarding left part is to decrease slightly opacity of image, because I think with dark background it will be looking better. So let's write opacity 0.7. Alright, that's all about left side of the section. It's time to move on and style right part. Let's select div element which has class name About Us right. Use here again ampersand, then dash right. First of all, let's define its width as 60%. Next, I'm going to take care of layout. For that, let's use flexbox, right display flex. In order to place elements vertically, let's change flex direction, make it column. And lastly, to center elements horizontally, let's use align items center. Alright, so that's the way how our elements are aligned. It's time to move on and style font awesome icons and this paragraph. Let's select div element which has class name stars. I'm going to create some space on top and bottom, so let's use margin. On top and bottom write 30 pixels and then 0. Then select star itself. Define its font size as 15 pixels. Then change color. Use here color primary. And also create some space on the left side of each star using margin left 10 pixels. Alright, so as you can see, stars are styled and the only thing that we have to do is to make paragraph looking good. So let's select it using class name description. I'm going to change font family. Let's use here font Josephine Sans. Then increase font size, make it 25 pixels. Set font style as italic. Also, let's change its color. Use here color secondary. And lastly, use text align with value justify. Okay, so now paragraph is looking much better. Actually, I think we need some space on the left and right sides. For that, let's use padding. On top and bottom, we need 0. And on left and right sides, write 100 pixels. And also use box sizing property with value border box, which actually allows us to avoid increase of box. Alright, so the last thing that I want to do is to create some space at the beginning of paragraph. And in order to do that, I'm going to use pseudo element called first letter. So write here ampersand, then first letter, and write padding left with value 50 pixels. Alright, so everything seems to be looking good, and actually we can say that we have finished working on About Us section. Next we're going to build a little gallery, and for that let's move on to the next video. Alright, so we have finished working on About Us section, and as I promised in the last video, it's time to move on and start creating next part of our project, which is going to be a little gallery. It will consist of 6 images. They will be placed in 2 different rows, and also when we hover on each image, we will have nice image overlay effect. Overall, they will be actually cards. So that's all about what we're going to do. As usually, first of all, let's create HTML structure of this section. So after About Us section, let's insert new comments, gallery, then end of gallery, open section element and assign to it class gallery. Next, I'm going to insert here div element, which will be wrapper for all cards. Let's assign to it class cards wrapper. So this div element will include 6 items. In each one we will have content of overlay and also an image. They will be wrapped by div element, so let's open it and assign to it class card. Image overlay will consist of a couple of elements. We will have heading, paragraph and button, and they will be wrapped by div element, so let's open it with class name card overlay. Then insert in it h1 heading element and assign to it class card overlay heading, and insert here content. Actually, I'm going to write here just food name, but you can write anything you want. For now, it's not really important thing. Heading will be followed by paragraph, so let's open p element and assign to it class card overlay paragraph and write text price, let's say $30. Alright, last element that we need to insert here is button. Let's make its type button. Also assign to it class name card overlay btn, and write text order now. Alright, as we said, each card will consist of content of overlay and also an image. So let's open img element. In source attribute, let's indicate path of image, write images folder and image gallery img1. Also assign to it class card img. Alright, that's it. We created first card. Actually, we need 5 more cards, so I'm going to duplicate this entire development 5 times. And then change names of images. For second one, we need gallery img2, then 3, 4, 5, and for last one, write 6. Alright, that's it about markup of gallery. We have here 6 cards, but it's just pure HTML, and for now they're looking really ugly. So to start styling this section, we have to move on to the next video. Alright, so in previous lecture we prepared everything for gallery, HTML structure is created, and we have to start styling it. First of all, I'm going to take care of layout of cards. Overall, we have 6 cards and we're going to place them in 2 rows. In order to achieve that, we will use Flexbox. Some of the styles will go to layout.scss file. As for card itself, it will be a part of components file. So let's select section element, which has class gallery. Then using nesting, select cards wrapper and assign to it display flex. So as you can see, cards are placed horizontally in a row, and now we have to start styling card itself. As we said, it's going to be a part of components file, so let's open it and select card. First of all, let's define width and height. Actually, in each row, I'm going to place 3 cards, and in order to distribute entire width equally, let's make width of card 33%. To be more precise, write 33.43. So for now, cards are still placed in a row. We don't have 2 rows. And to fix that, we need to assign to cards wrapper flex wrap property with value wrap. So now, as you see, problem is fixed. Cards are wrapped and we have 2 rows. Next, we need to define height for each card. In order to make cards responsive, let's make height of card 30 viewport width. It means that each card will take up 30% of width of viewport as a height. So in this case, when width of page is decreased, then size of each card will decrease accordingly. Alright, so each card consists of some content and image. In content, I mean card overlay. At first, I'm going to style overlay and image, and then we will create hover effect. So let's select div element which has class name card overlay. Use nesting, write ampersand dash overlay. Make its position as absolute. And in order to define its top and left positions according to card, let's make position of card relative. Alright, now it's time to give some styles to images. They should cover entire card. As you see, we have some spaces here. In order to fix that, let's select image, write ampersand dash img, and define its width and height as 100%. So as you can see, images are stretched, they lose their quality, and in order to fix that, we have to use property called object fit with the value cover. Alright, now they are looking much better. And the last thing regarding images is to decrease their opacity. Let's make it 0.5. Alright, that's it about images. Now I'm going to style card overlay. So let's define its top position as 0 and left position as 0 as well. Next, let's make width and height 100%. As you see, we used here width and height 100% twice, and I think would be better if we do it in kind of different way. I mean, I'm going to use placeholder selector and then extend it in both cases. So let's go to base.scss file and create placeholder selector. For that we have to use %sign, which should be followed by name. Let's call it full space, and then right width 100% and height 100% as well. Then in order to use this code, we have to write extend and name with %sign full space. Let's copy this line and paste it for image as well. Alright, next I'm going to change background color. Let's use here RGBA value, insert color primary and opacity 0.6. Also, I want to change color of text. I'm going to make it white, and actually we're going to use white color for a couple of times. So let's create new variable in base.scss file, call it color white, and assign to it FFF. Then use this variable for color property, right, color white. Alright, so as you see, elements of card overlay are not quite visible, and also pointer events are disabled. Actually, it happens because those elements ended up behind the image. So to fix that, we just need to use z-index property, which should have higher value than 0, because 0 is a default value. Right here, let's say 10. Alright, now this issue is solved, and next thing that we have to do is to take care of layout of those elements. I'm going to place them in the center of card, and for that let's use Flexbox. Actually, we have already created Mixin for flex layout, so let's include it, right, include flex layout. As you see, elements are placed in a row because by default flex direction is set as row. So to fix that, we just need to change flex direction and make it column. Alright, so elements are aligned in the center. Let's go ahead and style each of them. Start from heading, select it, write &-heading. Change its font family. Let's use here font Nunito. Then increase font size and make it 50 pixels. Besides that, I want to use font weight and letter spacing. And actually we have created Mixin for text styles, in which we have font weight, letter spacing and text transform as well. In this case, this Mixin is almost relevant for heading. We just need to change value uppercase and use capitalize instead of it. For that, we can add here parameter. Let's call it transform. By default, make it uppercase. Then assign this parameter to text transform property. Then go back to components file and include this Mixin. Write text styles. And as an argument, insert capitalize. Alright, that's all about heading. Next we have to style paragraph. So let's select it, write &paragraph. Then let's copy styles from heading and make some changes. As a font family, I'm going to use font Josephine Sans. Then decrease font size, make it 30 pixels. And also make some space at the bottom using margin bottom 30 pixels. Okay, so paragraph is ready, it's looking good. We have to move on to button. So let's select it, write $btn. First of all, let's define its width and height. Make width 150 pixels. As for height, let's write 40 pixels. Then change color, use here color primary, and make background color white. Use here variable color white. Next, I'm going to change font family. In this case, I'm going to use font called Josephine Sans. Then define font size, make it 14 pixels. Also, I want to make it bold, write font weight bold. Then transform text into uppercase. And create some space between letters using letter spacing with value 1 pixel. Alright, so for now button is looking good, but we have to add a couple of styles to it. Let's create custom border. Assign to it values 1 pixel, solid, and make color primary. Then I want to make it rounded. For that, use border radius with value 30 pixels. Also get rid of default outline. And lastly, change type of cursor, make it pointer. Alright, so everything is prepared, all the elements are styled, and the last thing that we have to do is to create hover effect. I'm going to hide card overlay by default and display it from the left side on hover. For that, we need to set its left position as -100%. Then, in order to hide it, we need to assign to card overflow hidden. And now it's time to use hover. Right here, $hover. Then select card overlay. And define left position as 0. And finally use transition, right left, with duration 0.7 seconds. Alright, so as you can see, hover effect works fine. I think it's looking good, and actually with gallery we are done. Next I'm going to create footer, so let's move on to the next lecture. So it's time to create one of the last parts of our project. In this video we're going to start building footer. I said one of the last parts because after creating footer we will build the last section, which is going to be a navbar with hamburger menu. Okay, so as it was previously, in this video we'll create structure of footer, I mean HTML markup. So let's go ahead and do it. After gallery, open new comment and write footer. Then end of footer. Open footer element and assign to it class footer. So this section will consist of 3 different parts. We will have logo and names like we have them in header. Then next part will include social media icons. And finally we will have a little paragraph with copyright text. Alright, let's go ahead and create them. Open div element and assign to it class footer header. Then I'm going to grab code from header, I mean logo and names, and paste them here. Actually, those elements are already styled. We will just take care of their layout. So that's it about first part. Next, as we said, we need to insert here some social media icons. So let's open another div element and assign to it class footer social media. Then inside the div element, open UL with class social media. We will have 4 different social media icons, so insert here li element with class name social media item. Li element will be followed by link, which will have class social media link. And then let's insert here font awesome icon, open I element, and assign to it following classes, write FAB, FA, Facebook, Square. Alright, that's it. We have created first social media icon. Overall, we need 4 of them, so let's duplicate li element 3 times and change class names for I elements. For second one, we need Instagram. Then next one will be Google plus Square. And for last one, write YouTube. Alright, so here we have icons, and it's time to move on to the last part of footer. As we said, it's going to be paragraph for copyright text. So let's open div element and assign to it class footer copyright. Then inside it open p element with class name footer copyright paragraph, and insert content. Use here copyright sign, write ampersand copy semicolon, then copyright restaurant Georgia, and all rights reserved. Alright, that's it about footer. We have prepared content of it, and in order to make it looking good, let's go ahead and move on to the next lecture. Alright, in the last video we prepared markup of footer, so let's go ahead and start styling it. Footer is going to be kind of simple section because we don't have here many elements, but it will be looking nice. First of all, I'm going to take care of layout of all 3 parts. So in layout file, select footer. At first, let's make some padding on top and bottom. Write padding 7 pixels on top and bottom, and then 0. Next, I'm going to use flexbox. I mean, we need to include here mixin called flex layout, and then make flex direction column. So as you can see, elements are placed vertically in the center, and now we have to move on and style each part individually. First we have header, which consists of logo and names. Actually, those elements are already styled, but they are not aligned quite well. And in order to fix that, let's use again flexbox. Select footer header, write ampersand header, and assign to it display flex. Then use align item center. And also, in order to make some space at the bottom, let's write margin bottom 70 pixels. Alright, so header is looking good, and actually we are done with it. Next we need to style social media icons. So let's go ahead and select UL element, which has class name social media. I'm going to place icons horizontally in a row, and for that let's use again flexbox, write display flex. Then define width, make it 300 pixels. And in order to make some space between icons, let's use justify content, space between. So as you can see, icons are aligned, but I think we need some space at the bottom. So let's add to UL element, margin bottom 70 pixels. Alright, that's it about UL element. Next I'm going to select LI element, which has class name social media item. So write ampersand item, and get rid of default bullets. Use here list style none. Alright, next we need to make those icons looking good. For that I'm going to select link element, which has class name social media link, right, ampersand link. First of all, let's get rid of default styles using text decoration none. Then increase font size, make it 50 pixels. And change color, use here color secondary. Alright, so icons are already looking good. Last thing regarding them is to create little hover effect. On hover, I'm going to change color of icons. So write ampersand hover and change color. Use here color primary. And lastly, use transition with values, color, and 0.7 seconds. Alright, so everything works fine, and in order to finish styling this section, we need to take care of this paragraph. So let's go ahead and select it using class copyright paragraph. Change font family. Use here font Josephine Sans. Then define font size, make it 18 pixels. Change color. Use color secondary. And lastly, I'm going to use Mixin, which we created for text styles. So let's include it. As you know, by default, it makes text uppercase, but in this case we don't need it. We need to make text capitalize. So as an argument, let's insert here capitalize. Alright, so everything seems to be looking good, and we have finished working on footer. It's kind of simple one, but I think it's nice. Next we need to create navbar with hamburger menu, and for that let's move on to the next lecture. Alright, so we just finished working on footer, and actually all the sections are created except navbar. We're going to build navbar, which by default will be hidden. We will have hamburger menu, and when we click menu icon, navbar will be displayed with some nice effects. So during building this section, you'll meet some cool things, and I think it will be really interesting. Okay, as usually in this lecture, I'm going to create HTML markup for navbar. So at the top of our HTML document, I mean right after opening body tag, insert new comments, write navbar, then end of navbar, then open nav element and assign to it class name navbar. So as we said, we will display navigation on click event, and we can create click event with checkbox and label. You might already know how to do it, but if not, you will meet this technique soon. So first element that I want to insert here is going to be input with type checkbox. Also we need ID attribute. Let's assign to it value check. And then add class with value checkbox. Next, I'm going to create menu icon, which will be represented by 3 lines. So let's open development with class name hamburger menu. In order to create click event, we need to use label element, which actually should wrap those mentioned 3 lines. In order to connect checkbox and label, values of ID and 4 attributes should be matched. So we have here ID with the value check, so we need to write here check as well. And also assign to label class with value menu. Alright, so the lines of menu icon will be represented by div elements. Let's open it. It will have 2 classes. First one is going to be for general styling, write menu line. As for second one, it will be for individual styling, So write menu line 1. Let's duplicate this line twice and change class names. Right here menu line 2 and 3. Alright, that's all about menu icon. Next we need to create navigation itself. It will consist of two parts. We will have left and right sides. So let's open development and assign to it class name navbar navigation. Then inside it open another development which will belong to left side. So let's give it class navbar navigation left. Actually this part will consist of images. We will have 3 images. So let's insert here img element. In source attribute, let's indicate path of image. We need here image called nav img1. Also assign to img element classes left img and left img1. As we said, we will have 3 images, so let's duplicate it twice and change image names and also class names. We need here nav img2, also class name left img2, and then 3. Alright, that's it about left side. As for right side, it will consist of list, in which we will have some list items. So let's open development and assign to it class name navbar navigation right. Then inside it insert UL element with class name navlist. Overall we will have 6 items. So let's open li element. It will have class navlist item. Li will be followed by link, which should have class name navlist link. And as a first list item, let's write here home. So we will have 6 items. Let's duplicate li element 5 times and change text of each item. For second one, write about us, then gallery. Third one is going to be reservation. Next we will have services, and for last one write contact. Alright, that's it about structure of navbar. As you see, it has messed up entire page, so we need to take care of that, and let's start doing it in the next video. Alright, so structure of navbar is ready. For now it's looking really awful, and as I promised in previous lecture, we have to start styling it. First thing that I want to do is to decrease size of images in order to make working process a little bit more convenient. So let's select images using common class left img and assign to it width for now as 300 pixels. Next, I'm going to place left and right sides side by side, and for that let's use Flexbox. Select navbar navigation. For that, at first select navbar itself, and then inside it write ampersand navigation and assign to it display flex. So as you can see, images and list are placed side by side. Now we have to style each part individually. Let's select left side, write ampersand left, define its width as 50 viewport width and height as 100 ph. Also change background color. I'm going to use here color dark. Actually, we need same for right side, so let's copy this entire code, paste, then change left into right, and also instead of color dark, let's use color 1F, 1D, 1D. Alright, so as you can see, both parts are aligned fine, and now it's time to style elements inside them. Let's start from left side. I'm going to align those images separately. For that, let's assign to them position absolute. Actually, let's put this code inside here and write position absolute. In order to manage layout of images according to its parent element, we have to define its position as well. Eventually, we will need fixed position for left and right sides, so let's go ahead and assign fixed position to both of them. Right position fixed, and then do the same for right side. So as you can see, navbar is no longer visible because it ended up behind header, and the reason is that in HTML document, header is placed after navbar. Therefore, it has higher precedence. So in order to fix that, we need to use z-index, but z-index property doesn't work if we don't define position for element. So let's assign to navbar position relative, and then use z-index with higher value, let's say 200. Besides that, we have to define left and right positions for both sides. For now, let's set both of them as 0. Right, left 0 and right 0. Alright, so we have managed the layout of both parts of navbar, and it's time to align those images individually. Actually, for now, we have width of image set as 300 pixels, but in order to make them responsive, I'm going to change it and make 50%. It means that each image will take half of width of left part, and if left side is decreased, then width of image will be decreased accordingly. Alright, let's align each image individually. Select first one with class name left img1, and define top and left positions as 15%. Then duplicate this code twice. Change class names. We need here left img2, then 3. And also change values of top and left properties. For second image, we need 35%. Then 25. As for third one, write 55 and 35. Alright, so as you can see, images are aligned nicely, and before we move on to right side, I'm going to add some more styles to them. Let's create shadow effect using box shadow. Insert here values 0, 15 pixels, then 60 pixels. As a color, use RGBA, color black, with opacity 0.4. Next, I'm going to decrease slightly opacity. Let's make it 0.7. And lastly, let's make corners of images slightly rounded using border radius with the value 10 pixels. Alright, that's it about left part. It's looking good, and we have to move on to the right side. We have here several list items. I'm going to style them, and also we will create little hover effect. So first of all, let's take care of layout. I want to place list perfectly in the center, and I'm going to do it using Flexbox. We just need to include here mixin called flex layout. So list is placed in the center. Let's move on and style items. Select list element, which has class name nav list. Then inside it, select item, write ampersand item, and get rid of default bullets using list style none. Then select link element, write ampersand link, change font family. I'm going to use here font dancing script. Then increase font size, make it 50 pixels. Also, I'm going to include here Mixin, which we created for text styles. So write include text styles. And as an argument, let's insert here capitalize, because by default we have uppercase, and in this case I don't want to use it. Next, let's change color, use color secondary, and also get rid of default styles using text decoration with value none. Alright, so that's the way how list items are looking for now. We need to align them in the center, and also I'm going to create some space between them. As you know, link element is an inline element, therefore we cannot use margin with it. So at first we have to make element as a block level. Let's write display block, then use margin with value 20 pixels. And lastly, align text in the center, write text align center. So that's it about styling items. Last thing regarding them is to create hover effect. On hover I'm going to change color, and also in order to make effect looking nicer, we will increase space between letters. So let's write ampersand hover, then change color, use here color primary, then write letter spacing with value 4 pixels, and lastly use transition, write all with duration 0.5 seconds. Alright, that's all about right part of navbar, and actually we have finished styling both parts. Next we need to style icon of menu, and also we need to make hamburger menu working. In order to do that, let's move on to the next lecture. Alright, so navbar is ready, it's styled, and as we said, we need to create hamburger menu. First of all, let's style menu icon. It will be represented by 3 lines. We have already created HTML markup for menu icon, but for now, lines are not visible because we don't have any content inside the elements. So before we actually start styling menu icon, I'm going to hide those 2 parts of navbar, I mean left and right sides. So let's define their left and right positions as minus 50 viewport width. Alright, so navbar is hidden, and it's time to start working on menu icon, which actually will be a part of components file. So let's go ahead and select div element which has class name hamburger menu, and at first define width and height. Let's make both of them 40 pixels. Also, I'm going to change background color for div element for a while in order to make it visible. Let's make it red. So here we have our div element. Next, I'm going to place it on the right side of page. For that, let's define its position as fixed. And then use top and right properties. Make top position 10%. As for right, we need 5%. Alright, so icon is aligned in the right way, and it's time to style lines. They are wrapped by label element which has class name menu. I want it to take up full width and height of its parent element, so we have to define width and height as 100%. Actually, recently we created placeholder selector called full space, which holds those properties and values, so we just need to extend it here. Write extend full space. Then select line itself. It has class menu line, so write ampersand line. Let's make its width as 100%. Then height define as 4 pixels. And change background color. Use here color primary. So here we have our lines, but for now they are stick to each other. In order to separate them, I'm going to use flexbox. We need to assign some flex properties to parent element, I mean to menu. Let's write display flex. Then flex direction, column. And justify content with value space around. So now lines are separated, and actually we already can remove this background color. We don't need it anymore. And lastly, let's make type of cursor pointer. Alright, that's all about styling menu icon. Now we need to make it working. When we click it, it should be transformed into X, and also left and right parts of navbar should be displayed from left and right sides. So we need to create click event, and for that we have to manipulate on by input and label. As you know, ID and for attributes have same values here, check, and it means that when we click label, in this case menu icon, then checkbox will be checked. In order to prove that, let's click icon, and you can see that checkbox is checked. On next click, it's getting unchecked, so this connection allows us to define styles in different conditions. We can apply some CSS styles while checkbox is checked. So on click, those styles will be applied to, and then when we click again, they will be removed. So overall, we can create click event using just pure HTML and CSS. Alright, first thing that I want to happen on click is to display left and right parts of navbar, and we have to do it in the following way. First, we need to define state of checkbox as checked. So let's select input element, which has class name checkbox. And then we need to use pseudo class called checked. So it means that now we can define styles which we need to be applied when checkbox is checked. We need to move left and right sides. For that, we have to define their left and right positions. At first, let's do it for left side. In order to select it, I'm going to use one of the CSS combinators, which is called general sibling combinator, and it's expressed by tilde sign. Actually, this is pure CSS and not SASS, and it's sort of advanced stuff. So if you're lost in this terminology and those things are kind of confusing for you, then I recommend to check out our CSS bootcamp course, in which we explain those things in details. Alright, so let's select left part right here, navbar navigation. Then let's copy it, paste and add here, left. By default, left position is set as -50 viewport width and it's hidden. So in order to display it, we need to define left position as 0. So if we click icon, then left part will be displayed, and on next click it will be hidden. As we mentioned, left part is displaying when checkbox is checked, so that's the way how you can create click event in CSS. Alright, let's do the same for right part. Let's duplicate this code and change left into right. So if we click again, then both parts will be displayed. But we have here a little problem. As you see, menu icon ended up behind navbar and it's no longer visible. In order to fix that, we just need to assign to it the index with higher value. I mean higher than the index of navbar, which is set as 200. So let's write the index and assign to it value, let's say 300. So now the problem is fixed. Menu icon is visible when navbar is displayed. Alright, so left and right sides are displaying on click, but we need to make this effect nicer. So let's assign at first to left part transition with values left 0.8 seconds. And also I'm going to use here function called cubic bezier, which actually allows us to create custom transition effect. Let's insert here values 1, 0, 0, and 1. Then copy this line, paste it for right part, and change left into right. So when we click icon, navbar is displaying now in much effective way, and I think it's looking really good. Alright, last thing that I want to do is to transform menu icon into X, and also I'm going to rotate entire icon. All of those things should be happen when we click icon. So again, we need to select checkbox with pseudo class checked. Then again use tilde sign and select hamburger menu. Then write menu. So I'm going to rotate icon according to Z axis by 90 degrees. So write transform, rotate Z, and insert here argument 90 degrees. And also assign to menu transition transform 0.5 seconds. So if we click then icon will be rotated by 90 degrees. After this rotation, we have to rotate first and third lines in order to create X, and also we need to hide second line. So let's go ahead and copy this code. Then instead of menu, we need here class menu line 1, and also instead of 90 degrees, let's insert here minus 40 degrees. Then duplicate this code twice. Change class names. We need here menu line 2 and then 3. As we said, we need to hide second line, so let's assign to it opacity 0. As for third line, we need to rotate it by the same degree, but with opposite direction. So let's get rid of minus sign from here. And lastly, use again transition with values all, then 0.5 seconds. Actually, first we need to rotate entire icon, and after that we're going to get X. First effect's duration is set as 0.5 seconds, therefore we need here delay with same duration, 0.5 seconds. Let's click, and you see that we don't have any X here. We need to fix that problem. So here we are able to do it using transform translate, but besides that we can solve this issue in kind of different way. By default, origin of rotation of lines is set as center. I mean they are rotated according to their center. In this case, we need to make origin of rotation right sides of lines. I mean the ends of lines. In CSS we have a property called transform origin, which should be assigned to line, and it should be set as right. So if we click, then you will see that everything works perfectly. We have here really nice and effective hamburger menu. Alright, so the last thing that we have to do before we finish this lecture is to hide this checkbox. And I'm going to do it simply by using one of the HTML attributes called hidden, which actually is an equivalent of display none. So let's assign it to input element right hidden. Alright, that's it about navbar, and actually we can say that we have finished creating our project. The only thing that we have to do is to make it responsive on different screen sizes. And for that, let's move on to the next video. Alright, so we have finished building our first project, Restaurant Georgia. All the sections are created and styled, and in order to make them looking perfect on all screen sizes, we have to make project responsive. As we already mentioned in previous videos, project is built on large screen size. I mean screen size which has width 1920 pixels and height 1080 pixels. Actually, we used desktop first approach, so during building this project, if we were using relatively smaller screen size, then sometimes project might not be looking quite good, and now it's time to fix that. At first, I'm going to make sections responsive, and then we will take care of navbar. First of all, let's inspect the page, use responsive mode, and find first breakpoint. So the first breakpoint on which we need to make some changes, I think, is 1600 pixels, because we need to decrease slightly font size of main heading, subheading, and also this paragraph. So we need to create first breakpoint with max width 1600 pixels. In general, when we write pure CSS, we create those breakpoints, and inside it we select different elements and assign to them different styles. In SASS, we can do it in kind of different way. We're able to use nesting, which will allow us to avoid selecting elements all the time. So we have main heading in components file, and let's create inside it media with max width 1600 pixels. As you see, by default, font size is set as 100 pixels, so let's decrease it and make it 80 pixels, right? Font size 80 pixels. Let's copy this code and use it for subheading as well. Instead of 80 pixels, let's use 50 pixels. And also we need to align text in the center using text align center. Actually, I think it will be better if we assign this style to subheading by default. So let's move it up. And lastly, I'm going to decrease space between subheading and those stars. So let's write margin bottom 50 pixels. Alright, that's it about subheading. And the last element which we need to work on this breakpoint is this paragraph. It has class name description and it's a part of layout file. So let's go ahead, find this element. Then paste here media and make font size as 18 pixels. Alright, that's all about this breakpoint. I think everything seems to be looking good. Next one is going to be about 1300 pixels. On that breakpoint, we need to decrease again font size of subheading and also space between subheading and stars. Besides that, we have to make some changes in About Us section. So let's go to Components file and duplicate code which we wrote for subheading. Then change 1600 pixels into 1300 pixels. Decrease font size, let's make it 40 pixels. And also assign to margin bottom 30 pixels. Next, I'm going to move left image a little bit to the right side. So let's go to Layout file. We have here left part of About Us section. Let's create here media with max width 1300 pixels and insert here left position with value minus 150 pixels. Last thing on the breakpoint is to decrease padding on left and right sides for right part. Let's copy this code, then paste it inside right part and insert here padding on top and bottom 0 and 50 pixels on left and right. Alright, so on 1300 pixels everything is looking good, and we have to move on and find next breakpoint, which I think is 1000 pixels, because after 1000 pixels we have to make some changes. I'm going to start with logo, so let's go to Components file. But actually, before we create new media, I want to mention that we have here tiny yellow spot, which is a default underline of link element. In Google Chrome, it's not quite visible, but you may see it in other browsers. So in order to get rid of it, we just need to use text decoration with value none. Alright, let's create new media. Insert here max width 1000 pixels. Then decrease font size, make it 50 pixels. And also grab width and height from here and make both of them 90 pixels. Alright, after that I'm going to decrease slightly size of main name. So let's go ahead, copy this code, paste it inside main name, and leave here just font size with value 40 pixels. Alright, next we need to work on main heading and subheading. We need to decrease their font size as well. So let's go ahead and copy this code, paste it for main heading, and change value of font size, make it 60 pixels, and then do the same for subheading, change font size and make it 30 pixels. Alright, so headings are looking good, and next I'm going to move on and work on stars. First of all, let's decrease space on top and bottom. Actually, stars are parts of layout. Then paste here media and write margin on top and bottom 15 pixels and 0 on the left and right sides. Also, I'm going to decrease their size. So inside star, paste again media and change font size, make it 12 pixels. Alright, so that's it about stars. Next, I'm going to decrease font size of paragraph, and also I think social media icons inside footer are a little bit bigger, so we need to decrease their size as well. Let's go ahead and inside description, paste media, and make font size 14 pixels. Then do the same for social media icons. Make their font size 35 pixels. Alright, so that's all about 1000 pixels. Next breakpoint is 900 pixels, because on that breakpoint elements of image overlay are not looking quite good. So let's go ahead and inside components file find those elements. First one that I want to work on is heading. So let's create new media inside it. Insert here max width 900 pixels and decrease font size, right, 35 pixels. Then grab this code and paste it for paragraph, change font size, make it 20 pixels. Alright, last element of image overlay is button, so let's paste media for it as well. Then decrease font size, make it 12 pixels, and also add here width and height. As a width, write 130 pixels. As for height, assign to it 30 pixels. Alright, that's it about image overlay, and I think on that breakpoint we just need to decrease height of about a section, because all the other sections are looking good. So let's go to layout.scss file, paste here media, and write height with value 70 VH. Okay, so on 900 pixels everything is looking good. We have to move on and find another breakpoint, and let's do it in the next lecture. Alright, so in previous lecture we made project responsive on a couple of breakpoints. The last one was 900 pixels, on which everything looks good. Let's go ahead and find another breakpoint. I think next one should be about 800 pixels, because some of the elements are not looking quite good. First of all, I'm going to take care of menu icon, because on the screen size it seems to be much bigger. Menu icon is a part of components file. So let's create here new media and insert max width 800 pixels. Then copy width and height from here and change values. For both of them, write 35 pixels. Also, I think we need to decrease height of a line itself, so let's copy this code and paste it inside line. Then get rid of width and change height, make it 3 pixels. Alright, so menu icon is looking better. Next I want to take care of banner button. I think it's a little bit bigger on the screen size. So let's paste media inside button. Then change width, make it 150 pixels. Then leave height as it is and add here font size 12 pixels. Alright, so that's it about button. Let's move on to about us section. I think would be better if we hide left image at all, because we need more space for right part. So let's go to layout.scss file, and inside left part insert media, which is already copied, and write here display none. Besides that, I want right part to take up full width that is available inside this section, So let's paste here again media and make width 100%. Alright, so the last element which I want to take care of and make looking better is paragraph of footer. So let's go ahead and insert here media, then change width, make it 70%. In order to place it in the center, I'm going to use margin auto. And lastly, align text in the center using text align center. Alright, that's it about 800 pixels. I think everything seems to be looking good. Let's move on and find next breakpoint. I think it should be 650 pixels because elements of image overlay are quite bigger. So let's go ahead and take care of them. Image overlay is a part of components file. So first of all, let's work on heading, create new media, insert here max width 650 pixels, then decrease font size, make it 25 pixels, then copy this code and paste it for paragraph, change font size, make it 15 pixels. So the last element which we need to take care of is button. Let's paste media here and make font size 10 pixels. Also add here width 100 pixels and height 30 pixels. Alright, that's it about this breakpoint. We don't have to do anything more here. And I guess we're getting closer to the last breakpoint, which actually should be 500 pixels. Let's start from menu icon on that breakpoint. We need to decrease its size. Actually, I'm going to duplicate this code, then change max width as 500 pixels and change values of width and height as 25 pixels. In the same way, I'm going to decrease size of line, so let's duplicate here this code as well. Change max width, make it 500 pixels, and assign to height 2 pixels. Alright, next element which we need to take care of is logo. So let's copy this code and paste it inside logo. Change value of height, make it 50 pixels. Then add here width with the same value. Also decrease font size, make it 30 pixels. And lastly, I'm going to decrease width of border. For that, let's use property called border width with value 2 pixels. Alright, that's it about logo. It's looking good. Next, let's make some changes for main name. Let's insert here media. And then write font size 20 pixels and text align center. Besides that, would be better if we decrease font size of subname. Let's copy this code and make font size 12 pixels. Alright, so logo and those names are looking better, and I think we need to move those elements a little bit up. For that, let's go to layout file. By default, its top position is set as 50%, and in this case, on 500 pixels, I'm going to decrease this value. So let's paste here media, then grab include from here and change its argument right here 12%. Alright, so with brand we're done. After that, let's take care of main and sub headings. Let's go to components file, And inside main heading, insert media, change font size, make it 40 pixels, and also add margin bottom with value 20 pixels. Then grab this code and paste it for subheading. Change font size, right here 20 pixels, and also change value of margin bottom, right 10 pixels. Alright, that's it about main and subheadings. They are looking good. Next element which needs some changes is button, which is a part of banner. And also we need to take care of about a section. Let's go ahead and duplicate this code. Change max width, right 500 pixels. Then decrease width, right 130 pixels. As a height, right 30 pixels. And lastly, change font size, right 10 pixels. Alright, so as you can see, buttons on banner and inside about a section are looking better. Actually, I think we can decrease slightly font size of this paragraph. So let's go to layout file and inside description, insert media, and make font size 12 pixels. Alright, next we have to move on and style image overlay for gallery. I think it would be better if we stop here and continue in the next video. Okay, so step by step we are finishing to make our project responsive. We have to do a couple of things on 500 pixel screen size, and then finally we have to make navbar responsive. So that's all what we have to do. In the last video we finished working on about a section, and now we have to move on to gallery. And then we have to take care of footer. Regarding gallery, the only thing that I want to do is to hide heading and paragraph of image overlay, because I think there is not quite enough space to display all three elements. So let's go to components file and inside heading of overlay, write media, insert max width 500 pixels, and then right here display none. I'm going to copy this code and use it for paragraph as well. So that's it about gallery. Next we have to move on to footer, which is a part of layout file. First of all, I'm going to decrease padding on top and bottom. So let's write media max width 500 pixels and insert here padding on top and bottom 40 pixels and 0 on left and right sides. Alright, next I'm going to decrease width of wrapper of social media icons because there is too much space between them. So let's copy this code, insert it here, and write width 200 pixels. And also decrease space at the bottom of icons, right, margin bottom 40 pixels. Alright, after that I'm going to decrease size of icons and paragraph as well. So let's go ahead and paste here media, then write font size 25 pixels. Grab this code, paste it for paragraph as well, and instead of 25 pixels, write 14 pixels. Alright, that's it. Actually, all these sections are responsive on all screen sizes, and the last thing that we have to do is to make navbar responsive. In case of navbar, we need to start from larger screen sizes. Let's go ahead and find first breakpoint on which we need to make some changes. I think after 1300 pixels, we need to increase width of images slightly. For now, they take up 50% of the left part, and it will be better if we increase and make it, let's say, 55%. Navbar is a part of layout file, so let's go ahead and inside left image, create new media with max width 1300 pixels and insert here with 55%. Alright, so now images are looking better, and on that breakpoint we don't have to do anything more. Next breakpoint is going to be about 1000 pixels, on which we need to increase again size of images, and also we have to change slightly their positions. So let's go ahead and duplicate this code, change max width, make it 1000 pixels, and increase width to 65%. So the sizes of images are increased, and now we have to move them a little bit to the left side. Let's copy this code and paste it for first image, and write left position with value 5%. Then copy this code and insert it for second and for third images. For second image we need left position as 15%. As for third one, let's make left position as 25%. Alright, that's it about 1000 pixels. Let's go ahead and find next breakpoint. I think next one should be 800 pixels, on which I'm going to hide left part at all. So let's create new media with max width 800 pixels and insert here display none. So as you can see, left side is hidden, but besides that we need right side to take up full width, which is available. So let's copy this code, paste it for right side. As you can see, by default width of right part is 50 viewport width. We need to change it and make it 100 viewport width. And also, in order to be right part hidden, we need to set its right position as minus 100 viewport width. Alright, so everything works perfectly, and on 800 pixels we are done. Last thing that I want to do is to decrease font size of menu items for smaller screen sizes. So the next breakpoint I think should be 600 pixels. Let's create new media, insert max width 600 pixels, and write here font size 40 pixels. Alright, so finally we're done. We have finished making our project responsive on different screen sizes. I think everything seems to be looking good, but of course if you think that you can make it even better, then feel free and play around with different elements and sections on your own on different breakpoints. Besides that, you can add your own sections and make this project even more richer. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this project and got your hands dirty in SASS. Next we are going to move on to sort of advanced SASS topics, and also we'll build another project based on those advanced things. Alright, see you in the next video.